There are 5 pickup trucks sitting on used car lots all across America right now that almost nobody is paying attention to. Not the Tacoma, not the F-150, not the trucks your neighbor flexes in the driveway while washing it every Sunday like it is a sacred ritual. I'm talking about trucks that will casually roll past 300,000 miles while asking for nothing more than oil changes, basic maintenance, and a little respect. And yet, they are selling for thousands less than they should for one simple reason: they are not trendy. After more than 2 decades turning wrenches, I have watched people proudly drop $25,000 on a beat-up Tacoma with well over 140,000 miles, stiff suspension, mystery noises, and a payment that ruins their mood every month. Meanwhile, these 5 trucks sit quietly in the corner of the lot with better engines, fewer miles, and price tags that make absolutely no sense. These are the trucks mechanics buy, the ones that do not care about clout, touchscreens, or what the comment section thinks. Today, on Graybeard Garage, I am breaking down 5 truly bulletproof pickups you can buy right now for under $15,000. These are the trucks the market has not figured out yet, but once it does, the prices are gone. If you like straight talk, real experience, and a little shop humor mixed in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment telling me which truck you think is the most underrated. Trust me, your wallet will appreciate it later. Chevrolet Colorado V6 3.6. Let us start with the truck most people walk past because they still think a Chevy truck has to be a Silverado or it somehow does not count. And honestly, that thinking is exactly why this thing is such a steal right now. The Chevrolet Colorado with the 3.6-liter V6 is the kind of truck that quietly does everything right while everyone else is busy arguing on Facebook about which brand is manlier. I had a guy come into the shop about 6 months ago. Mid-30s, cargo shorts, new homeowner energy. He wanted a truck for weekend projects, hauling mulch, Home Depot runs, and towing a small boat a few times a year. He was completely locked in on a used Toyota Tacoma, because of course he was. He found a 2016 Tacoma with 118,000 miles for just under $25,000. I pulled up a 2017 Chevy Colorado LT, Crew Cab, V6, with 72,000 miles. Price was under 15 grand. More power, fewer miles, $10,000 cheaper. He stared at the screen like it personally offended him. He bought it anyway. Fast forward 6 months. He has added roughly 8,000 miles, towed his boat more times than he can remember, and you know how much he has spent on repairs? $0. Not a single dime. The only thing the truck has asked for is oil changes and gas, and even then it is not greedy. Here is the part nobody tells you. The second-generation Colorado, especially from 2017 onward, runs a 3.6-liter V6 that puts out over 300 horsepower. That is more power than the Tacoma ever had, more than the Frontier, and more than the Ranger. Starting in 2017, Chevy updated the engine with a revised timing chain design and addressed the direct injection carbon buildup issue with a better oil separation system. In normal human terms, that means fewer headaches and a much longer life. Now yes, the 8-speed automatic had some early torque converter shutter issues. Before the internet panics, relax. General Motors fixed it with updated transmission fluid and a flush procedure. If you are shopping for one, just ask if the fluid update was done. If it was not, budget a couple $100 for a flush and move on with your life. That is cheaper than one Tacoma wheel bearing, by the way. Towing capacity with the V6 sits around 7,000 pounds, which means it will tow your boat, your trailer, or your buddy's broken project car without crying about it. Repair costs are reasonable, parts are everywhere, and any shop in America knows how to work on it. Repair data consistently shows low repair frequency and average annual costs that are completely normal for a mid-size truck. When inspecting one, check the transmission fluid, look underneath for rust if it came from a northern state, and test the infotainment screen because some early ones were slower than a gas station microwave. Even if it needs replacing, aftermarket units are cheap and better anyway. The bottom line is this. You are getting a mid-sized truck with real power, real towing capability, and everyday usability for a price that makes the so-called Tacoma tax look borderline criminal. The only reason these are cheap is because people still think mid-size means weak. Anyone who has driven one knows better. Nissan Titan 5.6 V8. This is the truck time forgot. And that is not an insult, that is a buying opportunity. The Nissan Titan with the 5.6-liter V8 is what happens when a manufacturer builds a full-size truck to go head-to-head with Detroit and the market just shrugs and walks away. While everyone was busy arguing Ford versus Chevy, the Titan quietly became one of the most underappreciated full-size pickups ever built. You can find first-generation Titans, from 2004 through 2015, sitting on lots right now for prices that feel like typos. $8,000 to $14,000 gets you a crew cab, a real V8, and enough towing capacity to make your neighbor's crossover cry. try doing that with a Toyota or Ford in the same price range. You cannot. A 2012 Titan SV with under 100,000 miles for around 12 grand is not rare. It is just ignored. Under the hood is the 5.6-liter Endurance V8, an engine that Nissan used across the Titan, Armada, and luxury SUVs for years. Early versions make over 300 horsepower, later ones even more, and the important part is how it is built. Timing chain, no turbos, no complicated nonsense. This engine is as straightforward as a full-size V8 gets. Feed it oil, keep it cool, and it will keep showing up to work like a guy who has never missed a shift. The 5-speed automatic behind it is not fancy, and that is exactly why it lasts. No 10 gears hunting for the right ratio, no software updates, no drama. It shifts, it holds, and it survives abuse that would have other transmissions begging for mercy. Real mechanics love simple drivetrains, and this one checks that box hard. Here is something most people do not realize. Nissan massively overbuilt the Titan's frame and suspension because they wanted to prove they could compete with the big American trucks. Fully boxed frame, proper rear axle, beefy components everywhere. This thing was not designed to be delicate. It was designed to work. Now, it is not perfect, and I am not going to pretend it is. There are a few things to watch. Exhaust manifold bolts can crack on earlier models, especially from 2004 to 2007. You will hear a ticking noise on cold starts that goes away when warm. It is not catastrophic, but it is a great negotiation tool. Radiators on some early trucks can fail internally and affect transmission cooler lines, so always check for any signs of coolant issues. And always look at the rear differential fluid. Dirty fluid tells you more about an owner than any Carfax report ever will. Who is this truck for? Anyone who wants a full-size V8 truck with serious towing capability for the price of a used economy car. Anyone who does not care about brand loyalty or impressing strangers in parking lots. And anyone smart enough to realize that resale value only matters when you sell, not when you are driving a paid-off truck that refuses to die. The Titan does not have a cult following like Toyota, and that is exactly why it is such a bargain. You save thousands up front for a truck that will still be working long after the payments on the trendy ones are gone. Nissan Frontier V6 4.0. If the Titan is the truck everyone forgot, the Frontier is the truck everyone refuses to respect. This is the pickup people laugh at online, ignore on dealer lots, and then accidentally buy because it was cheap, only to keep it forever because it will not die. The Nissan Frontier with a 4.0-liter V6 is the definition of boring in the best possible way. This truck is like that coworker who never talks, never complains, never calls in sick, and somehow has been at the company for 20 years while everyone else burns out in 3. Nobody brags about owning a Frontier, but nobody sells one because it gave too much trouble either. The second-generation Frontier ran from 2005 all the way to 2021 with very few changes. Nissan basically looked at it and said, "Yep, that works," and walked away for over a decade. The 4.0-liter VQ V6 makes 261 horsepower, has a timing chain instead of a belt, no turbo, no fancy nonsense, and a documented habit of cruising past 200,000 miles like it is late for work. I have personally worked on Frontiers with over 280,000 miles still running their original transmissions. I have a customer right now with a 2013 Frontier sitting at 245,000 miles. His biggest repair in over a decade of ownership was timing chain tensioners at around 180,000 miles. Cost him about $1,100. That is it. No engine rebuild. No transmission drama. No crying in the parking lot. Repair cost data consistently ranks the Frontier as one of the cheapest mid-size trucks to own. Cheaper than the Tacoma, cheaper than the Colorado, cheaper than the Ranger. Let that sink in for a second. The most reliable mid-size truck on the market is the one nobody wants to talk about at the barbecue. And the prices are honestly insulting. A 2014 to 2016 Frontier SV Crew Cab with under 100,000 miles can be found for $12,000 to $15,000. A comparable Tacoma from the same years costs $10,000 to $12,000 more. That price gap exists for one reason only: image. Now let us talk about the one real issue, because every truck has something. 2005 to 2010 automatic Frontiers can suffer from what mechanics lovingly call the strawberry milkshake of death. The radiator can fail internally and mix coolant with transmission fluid, which absolutely destroys the transmission. The fix is simple. Replace the radiator or reroute the transmission cooler lines externally. If it has already been done, great. If not, budget a few $100s and treat it like cheap insurance. From 2011 onward, Nissan corrected this issue. The Frontier's body-on-frame design, fully boxed ladder frame, and simple suspension make it incredibly tough and incredibly easy to work on. If you do your own maintenance, this truck is a dream. Everything is accessible. Brake jobs are straightforward. No special tools. No YouTube degree required. The interior looks like it was designed in the early 2000s because it was. But here is the thing. Engines do not care about touchscreen size. Transmissions do not care about ambient lighting. They care about oil, cooling, and not being overworked. The Frontier nails all of that. Who should buy this truck? Anyone who wants a mid-size pickup that will run forever, cost almost nothing to maintain, and does not care about impressing strangers in traffic. If your goal is reliability, not validation, this is your truck. Honda Ridgeline First Generation 2006 to 2014. I already know what some of you are thinking. That is not a real truck. And that exact sentence is the reason this thing is criminally cheap. The first generation Honda Ridgeline is one of the most reliable pickups ever sold in America, and it gets ignored because it does not fit the tough guy stereotype. Meanwhile, it just keeps running while the real trucks are sitting at the shop waiting on parts. Let me tell you how most people end up buying a Ridgeline. They make fun of it. Then they drive one. Then they buy one and suddenly stop making fun of it. I had a contractor come in a few years back, mid-50s, owned a small landscaping business. He was looking at a used F-150 with a turbo engine because that is what his buddies told him to buy. I asked him a simple question. What do you actually tow? He said a small trailer, maybe 3,000 pounds. I asked if he off-roads. He laughed. I showed him a 2012 Ridgeline with under 90,000 miles for a little over 13 grand. He thought I was joking. He bought it anyway. Fast forward to now. That truck has well over 160,000 miles. One timing belt service, one brake job, oil changes. That is it. His exact words were, I should have bought this 10 years ago instead of listening to my friends. Under the hood is Honda's legendary 3.5-liter V6 from the J35 family. This engine has been used in everything from minivans to SUVs for decades, and there is a reason for that. It makes around 250 horsepower, it is smooth, it is reliable, and it absolutely refuses to quit if you maintain it. Yes, it uses a timing belt. Yes, you replace it around 105,000 miles. Budget about $1,000 and move on. That is still cheaper than one major repair on most modern trucks. The Ridgeline uses a unibody design, which truck guys love to hate. But here is the truth nobody wants to admit. For how 95% of people use a pickup, this is actually an advantage. It rides better, handles better, and does not rattle itself to death. It gets better fuel economy, it is quieter on the highway, and it is way more comfortable to live with every day. And then there is the in-bed trunk. If you know, a sealed, lockable storage compartment built right into the bed floor. Groceries, tools, gear, whatever you do not want stolen or soaked. No other truck does this, and once you have it, every other bed feels unfinished. Now let us be honest about limitations. It is not towing 10,000 pounds. Maximum towing is about 5,000 pounds. It is not rock crawling, and ground clearance is modest. But if your idea of truck life is hauling furniture, lumber, small trailers, weekend projects, and commuting to work without feeling like you are driving a farm vehicle, this thing absolutely nails it. What should you inspect? First, timing belt service history. If it has not been done and the mileage is up there, budget for it. Second, look carefully for rust, especially in northern trucks. Structural rust is a deal breaker here. Third, check all differential and transfer case fluids. Honda recommends changing them often, and lazy owners skip it. Dirty fluids tell a story. The sweet spot years are 2009 through 2014. These got updates, better interiors, and small refinements that make them the best buys today. Prices usually sit between $8,000 and $14,000, which is wild considering how long these things last. The Ridgeline is not a status symbol. It is not a flex. It is a tool. A ridiculously reliable, comfortable, and affordable tool that most people are too proud to consider. And that pride is costing them money. Toyota Tundra 2nd Generation 5.7 V8. This is the truck I recommend more than any other when someone walks into the shop and says, I want a pickup under 15 grand that I can drive for the next 10 years and not worry about. When I say Toyota Tundra, people almost always pause, look confused, and ask why not a Tacoma. And that reaction right there is exactly why the Tundra is still affordable. The second generation Toyota Tundra, from 2007 to 2013, is one of the most overlooked full-size trucks on the used market. Everyone is so obsessed with the Tacoma that they forget Toyota also built a full-size V8 truck that is just as reliable, more powerful, and in many cases cheaper. Under the hood is the legendary 5.7-liter I-Force V8. This engine is naturally aspirated, timing chain-driven, port-injected, and deliberately simple. No turbos. No complicated tricks. Just old-school Toyota engineering with one goal: last forever. It makes over 380 horsepower and enough torque to tow just about anything the average person actually owns. I have seen these trucks with well over 300,000 miles still running original engines and transmissions. No rebuilds. No horror stories. Just oil changes, brakes, and the occasional water pump. A friend of mine bought a 2010 Tundra Crew Cab with around 126,000 miles for just over $14,000. People told him he was crazy. Last month he crossed 248,000 miles. Total repairs over several years. A water pump, brakes, and routine maintenance. That truck is barely broken in. The 6-speed automatic transmission in these trucks is just as durable as the engine. It is not trying to be clever. It shifts when it should and stays out of the way. That simplicity is why these drivetrains last. Toyota overbuilt them on purpose, borrowing the same philosophy used in the Land Cruiser. Build it stronger than necessary and let time do the rest. Now here is where it gets funny. A 2010 to 2012 Tundra with a 5.7 V8 and reasonable miles can be found for $12,000 to $15,000. A Tacoma from the same years with less power and less towing will often cost several thousand more. You are paying extra for less truck because of name recognition. That is it. Things to watch when buying one are simple. Check the frame for rust, especially on earlier models from northern states. Toyota addressed corrosion issues after 2008, but always inspect. Check for secondary air injection system codes on earlier trucks. Not a deal breaker, but something to be aware of. And look for minor oil seepage around cam tower seals on higher mileage examples. These are known, manageable issues, not disasters. Who should buy this truck? Anyone who wants a full-size V8 pickup that can tow boats, trailers, and equipment without stress. Anyone who plans to keep a truck long-term instead of flipping it every 3 years. And anyone smart enough to realize that the Tacoma tax does not apply here. This truck flies under the radar, and that will not last forever. Once people catch on, these prices are gone. So there you have it. 5 pickup trucks the market forgot, but mechanics never did. Trucks that are sitting on lots right now, quietly waiting for someone who actually wants reliability instead of resale hype. The Chevrolet Colorado with a 3.6 V6 that delivers real power without the mid-size price penalty. The Nissan Titan, a full-size V8 that nobody remembers but refuses to die. The Nissan Frontier, the most reliable mid-size truck on the market that somehow costs half of what a Tacoma does. The Honda Ridgeline, the truck people love to hate but cannot seem to break no matter how hard they try. And the Toyota Tundra, the full-size Toyota that hides in plain sight while everyone else overpays for less truck. Every single one of these pickups can be bought today for under $15,000 and will outlast trucks costing twice that. These are not theory trucks. These are trucks that show up in real shops, with real miles, owned by real people who just want something that works. While other buyers are busy chasing trends, screens, and badges, these trucks are doing the unglamorous job of actually being useful. The next time a salesperson tries to steer you toward a 3-year-old Tacoma with 6 figures on the odometer and a price tag that makes your eye twitch, remember this list. Remember that reliability does not care about hype, and engines do not know what brand fan clubs exist online. They only know maintenance, design, and how hard they are worked. If this breakdown helped you, make sure you subscribe to Gray Beard Garage, hit the like button, and drop a comment telling me which of these trucks you would buy and why. Or tell me which one you think I am completely wrong about, because I promise I have heard it all and I am still standing by my picks. Either way, your engagement helps the channel grow and keeps this kind of straight talk coming. Take care of your truck, drive safe, and remember, a paid-off reliable pickup beats a flashy problem every single time.